Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Jurnee Taylor. Here's a look at what we're following today. Little Rock police investigating an early morning homicide. What we know in less than 2 minutes. Plus a big event focused on helping veterans getting underway in an hour. What you need to know if you're looking to take advantage of the new PACT Act benefits. And more banks are locking accounts without much warning or explanation. The reason behind the move and the headaches it's causing at 12:12. And speaking of headaches, it's Monday, so either you love it or you hate it, but we have to start the week somewhere, right? It's still kind of a hot one, but it cooled down over the weekend, so we should be thankful
It was
for that.
beautiful this weekend.
Yes.
I mean, we had lower humidity temperatures on Saturday. Now we've hit 90 degrees and it's only lunchtime, so things are starting to heat up once again here in the natural state. We got lots of sun out there, a little bit of wildfire smoke, so it gives it a milky hue to the sky. Temperature 89 in Russellville, 88 in Arkadelphia, 88 in Stuttgart. And here's what it feels like out there because of that humidity. It feels like 98 in Clinton, it feels like 96 in the capital city, and more of the same in Pine Bluff. When we take a look at the radar, it's quiet across Arkansas, but I am watching a dying complex of showers and storms trying to move into North Arkansas. So we are still dealing with that northwest flow, and if this holds together in north central Arkansas and the Ozarks, be prepared because there certainly could be a passing shower storm as the afternoon progresses along. Here in central Arkansas, I think we're just going to be hot and sunny. Temperatures today topping out into the mid-90s. This is the start of the third heat wave of this year, and I'll let you know how long this one could last and how high the heat indices will get coming up.
Well, we're following developing news this noon hour. Little Rock police investigating a homicide this afternoon. Officers were called to East Roosevelt Road around 6:30 this morning. When they arrived, they found someone unresponsive and later pronounced them dead. Again, this is being investigated as a homicide, but police have not yet released the cause of death or any suspect information. We will keep you updated as we learn more from investigators. Pine Bluff police are still searching for 2 suspects in a shooting that killed 2 teens and left another hurt. They're looking for the 2 men you see right here on your screen. 19-year-old Trenton Xavion Rogers and 18-year-old Javion Marquette Williams are wanted for multiple charges, and police do consider them to be armed and dangerous. The 2 are wanted in connection to a double homicide near 17th and Hazel from July 16th. Officials ask that if you do see them to not approach them and to call 911. Well, we're working to learn more about a weekend drowning on Lake Ouachita. The Garland County Sheriff's Office tells us a child was last seen in the water early yesterday morning. Game and Fish says it did not involve boating. We have a crew following up with investigators to learn more about the incident, and more on that will come tonight at 5 and 6. We are now 1 week from the deadline to collect signatures for the Arkansas Learns ballot referendum. CAPES, the group behind the proposal, made a big push over the weekend. They held several drive-through petition sites, collecting signatures in an effort to put the Learns Act to a vote. To make that happen, though, they need 54,000 signatures from at least 50 of Arkansas's 75 counties.
There were lots of people that wanted to sign the petition to get Learns on the ballot, but they weren't necessarily sure where to go or how to get in contact with someone. So we set up several drive-through events throughout the state in different locations.
If CAPES gets enough signatures, that ballot vote for Learns will come over a year after the act goes into effect, scheduled right now for next Tuesday. It could come sooner depending on how a court case on the Act's emergency clause plays out. Well, today is the deadline for Texas Governor Greg Abbott to respond to the Department of Justice after receiving a letter about the floating barrier in the Rio Grande River. Natalie Brand has more details this afternoon.
The U.S. Department of Justice says it will sue Texas unless Texas Governor Greg Abbott commits to removing this barrier, around 1,000 feet of buoys placed in the Rio Grande River near Eagle Pass to block migrants from entering the country.
This is another added layer of defense to what we have in place already with the concertina wire, with shipping containers, boots on the ground, National Guard soldiers, our troopers.
The latest move in Governor Abbott's Operation Lone Star has drawn outrage from immigration advocates and Democratic lawmakers.
Those things are going to force people to drown. Children, disabled people, mothers, and others.
Governor Abbott has until this afternoon to respond to the DOJ, which calls the floating barriers unlawful and a risk to safety. The governor has previously said Texas has the sovereign authority to defend its border.
I think you're seeing the governor do everything he possibly can to secure the border, but you have this states versus central government nonstop going back and forth.
The national scrutiny on Texas follows an internal complaint from July 3rd by a state trooper who detailed a series of concerns about the treatment of migrants, even claiming officials have received directions to push people back into the water and to withhold drinking water from migrants. DPS denies the allegation, saying migrants have not been mistreated. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
And this is all happening along the Rio Grande River. Now, an official complaint has been logged with the U.S. by Mexico. It states that the barriers are a violation of treaties between the U.S. and Mexico. In other news, police in Ohio are investigating a violent traffic stop involving a K-9 unit earlier this month. Police footage from the morning of July 4th shows Highway Patrol trailing a semi-truck on I-35 in Ohio. After a chase, officers were able to stop the driver, who appears to comply with officers' instructions after that. Here's that video. But despite a clear warning from at least one state trooper to a local Circleville PD to not release its K-9, an officer released the animal anyway. The driver was taken to the hospital with several injuries and then spent 3 days in jail. Now, Ohio State Police and Circleville PD are investigating the incident, trying to figure out exactly what unfolded. And the heat continues to impact cities across the U.S. Tens of millions of Americans from the southwest to the southern tip of Florida remain under excessive heat warnings. Phoenix, Arizona is seeing its 25th consecutive day with temperatures of at least 110 degrees. And then the end is nowhere in sight, with more than 230 million Americans expected to be affected by the country's record-setting heat wave by the middle of the week. Happening today, the VA hospital in North Little Rock is hosting the Summer Vet Fest, a chance to inform veterans and survivors about the PACT Act and the extended benefits veterans can now receive. The law, which was signed almost a year ago, expands VA health care and benefits for veterans exposed to burn pits and other toxic chemicals. Leaders are encouraging all eligible veterans and survivors to apply by August 9th. Today's event is part of a nationwide enrollment effort.
We're engaged in the largest outreach effort in the history of VA because we want to make sure that vets know what is available to them. We got a long way to go, and we won't rest here in this building until we've reached every one of those vets.
The act, which links asthma, 12 cancers, and other illnesses to burn pits exposure, will benefit nearly 4 million veterans. The event begins at 1 and goes until 3:30 at the VA hospital at Fort Roots, Building 170. Now, we're going to have more on today's event and future events tonight at 5 and 6. And also happening right now, Park Plaza Mall is hosting a blood drive that shoppers can take part in. According to the Arkansas Blood Institute, we're seeing a critical shortage, and today's event is a good chance to replenish our supply. They also say the need for blood is higher this time of year with more injuries. The drive-through kicked off about an hour ago and wraps up at 3. But have you been locked out of your bank account with little to no warning? Well, there's a reason, but it is the new attempt at stopping fraud costing banks across the country. That answer in 3 minutes. Nathan?
And we got lots of sunshine out there to kick off the new work week journey, but all that sun is going to heat things up, and we are entering the 3rd heat wave of this year. I'll let you know how hot it will get, and also if there's any concern of those complexes of showers and storms diving their way down from the north and northwest coming up.